still on lockdown. The last we heard was about 20 minutes ago. A woman inside still on lockdown, and we can understand why that is, because police want to make sure that everything is clear. One shooter taken into custody. This all happening probably between 3 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. Very quickly, you're thinking, hey, the weekend is coming. You're at the end of the workday. It's Friday. I'm getting ready to go home. And all of a sudden, you get this alert on your phone that says you need to get into a closet. You need to get under your desk because there's an active shooter in the building. And then you begin to hear gunshots as well. People are hit. You can't even imagine what that feeling is like.
We want to go to Nicole live as she's in the newsroom. You have a breakdown of things that are going on the hospital side of things, Nicole?
Yeah, Philip and Janet, I wanted to check this out to kind of explain better about these trauma levels that we keep talking about, because we are talking about 3 Sentara facilities where they are taking victims. So we've got level 1, that's Sentara Norfolk General. You mentioned that Nightingale is waiting there for clearance to take off. We don't know how many patients are in the air ambulance, but that's a level 1 trauma center. And I'm getting this information from the Virginia Department of Health. All levels are required to have a general surgeon as the team leader and have an anesthesiologist, an operating room available, and for level 1 and 2, a neurosurgeon there. So level 1 is the most serious level, and that would be Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. When we talk about level 3, that's Sentara Princess Anne Hospital. You've mentioned at least 2 people taken there. And level 2, that would be a designation where you have somebody that can work with cardiology, internal medicine, radiology, which is important. Let's see, here we go. We just got this. Is this a tweet? We're getting information. You see this is an active newsroom. This is a phone call. We've talked to Councilman Aaron Rouse from Virginia Beach. He said council members are heading to City Hall now for an emergency meeting. So, of course, this is, like you said, Janet, this is Friday afternoon when folks are getting off of work. This is happening here at the Municipal Center. A lot of traffic in an already busy area of the city of Virginia Beach. So now you've got council members getting together to talk about this shooting at the Municipal Center. But again, just breaking down the trauma designation for you to let you know that we do have one level 1 trauma center here in Hampton Roads. That's Sentara Norfolk General Hospital, where the air ambulance Nightingale will be taking patients. We don't know how many. And we've got patients going to Sentara Princess Anne and also Sentara Virginia Beach General Hospital. Let's send it back to you.
All right, Nicole, thank you. I want to go back now to Allie. She is right in front of Building 1. This happened in Building 2, but she is still very close to the scene. Allie, what's your update?
Well, Janet, I just saw about a dozen Virginia Beach police officers come out of building number 1. Actually, here is the mayor, Bobby Dyer, walking out of building number 1. I don't know where he's going, probably over to building number 2. So that's what we're having right now. We can see maybe if we can get him on air. It looks like he is talking. Let's see if we can. So about a dozen Virginia Beach police officers did come out here and leave from building number 1 to building number 2. And they just put this crime scene tape up probably about 5 minutes ago. So this is as far as we can get right now. I'm going to try to see if we can talk to Bobby Dyer right now and see if we can get what he has to say about this event going on. Hey, Bobby.
All right, let's go out to Allie Weatherton there is trying to get a hold of Mayor Bobby Dyer. We saw him on the scene just a second ago. That's right outside of Building 1. We want to go back out to Robert Boyd. Robert, you're speaking to a witness that was inside one of these buildings. Was it Building 2 she was inside?
No, Philip. She was actually inside Building 10. She just walked across the street and got into her car. She didn't want to speak on camera, but she was nice enough to speak with me for a minute or two off camera. She said she didn't hear any gunfire, didn't see anything. However, she was alerted around 4 o'clock that there was a situation and that everyone in her office was encouraged to get away from the windows. They were basically told, keep on working at your desks, at your computers, but don't go near the windows and kind of just, stay vigilant. Building 10 and Building 2, I guess they're safe enough distance apart that they didn't hear any gunfire or see anything. However, those buildings are also probably close enough that, again, you got to get away from the windows just in case some random bullets could go flying through. And right now, let's see, Bono, if you can, fortunately, Bono's pretty tall here. If you can pan way over there, we're seeing a whole group of people leave. Oh, here they come, Bono. See these people across the street, Philip and Janet? We're seeing a whole group of, it looks like employees leaving now. So it's safe to say that a lot of these buildings that are not building 2 are now being basically considered safe and allowing their employees to leave, and that's what we're seeing right here. Now again, that woman I spoke with was from building 10, so not really that close to building 2, but at least we're seeing now employees are being allowed to leave, and you know, a very frightening situation, I'm sure, even if it wasn't in their building, just to know that there was a shooter in this complex. And I also want to reiterate, things have definitely calmed down out here. About a half an hour to an hour ago, there were emergency vehicles going back and forth, flashing lights, sirens, the whole deal, and the last 20 minutes, things have definitely calmed down from an emergency response standpoint. We're not seeing the movement of trucks going back and forth. And again, as you see right now, employees are leaving, walking across the street, and I will actually check in with a couple of them and see if anyone would want to talk to us about what they experienced today. Obviously very frightening. Excuse me, any chance? No, they're going to keep going. Okay, but I will try off camera to talk to some of these employees, and we'll keep you posted out here, especially still waiting for the police chief too for an update. Back to Philip and Janet.
Thank you, Robert. And as you can see out there, just the sense of urgency, people seem a lot more calm right now than they did a few minutes
Yeah,
ago.
so maybe the lockdown has been lifted, and it just goes to show that we keep talking about how this occurred in building 2, but if you've ever been down to that complex, there are a number of buildings there. They're all close together. These people that Robert talked to were in building 10, but yet they were in danger as well, as they were told, hey, stay away from the windows because you never know. You never know what might happen. There could have been another shooter. So it didn't just affect building 2, if you know the layout of that area that affected so many employees down there.
Yeah, and the scene is still very much active, though. We don't want to underplay this just yet. We were talking to Allie just a minute ago. She said she saw, and we saw, Mayor Bobby Dyer on the scene. She also said that he came out along with about a dozen officers out of building 1. It looked like they were going towards building 2 at this time. And we also Allie talked to a woman who was inside building 2. As this was happening, she was texting with her husband, and he tells Allie that she was told to hide under her desk based on an alert on her phone, and that they were still in lockdown mode. This was maybe 10 minutes ago, though.
And we just got word that the mayor right now is not prepared to speak, not going to talk to Allie, our reporter down there right now. We know that city council members are heading to the area for an emergency meeting. Obviously, they want to be able to get some more information, the accurate information, to find out exactly how this all started before they talk to the media. But they are at least coming to the scene or are already on the scene as well. The area is still blocked off down there, so police as well as the governor, they're asking people not to go down in that area. We're told 2 victims for sure, but we are hearing some information about possibly some other victims. All right, let's toss back to Robert. I'm being told in my ear that he's talking to someone who may have been in building 2.
To alert us in time, because if it had been 10 minutes more, we all would have been outside. So that's what I'm grateful for today.
And we're live right now on 13 News Now. Can you just reiterate for our viewers at home, where were you? What did you see? What did you hear?
I was inside of my office. We heard shooting, building 10A. We heard shooting, but we didn't think it was actually at the courthouse because it was kind of muffled. So we weren't sure that it was at the courthouse. But we thank goodness that the police acted fast and were right there for us to let us know what was occurring.
What did they tell you when I see you and your colleagues are leaving now? Was there any information given, or was it just an all clear? What happened?
They told us all clear. You're perfectly safe to leave. The shooter has been apprehended. I'm sure they couldn't give us any more than that, but that was enough to make me feel safe enough to come outside and to know that God was with us and is with us.
When you heard the shooting, what did you do when you heard the shooting?
I just went in and asked my coworkers what's going on. Has this ever happened before? And they just said, we're being told to stay in the building.
Do you know anybody in the Public Works building?
No, I do not.
Did you get under your desk, or you just stayed at your desk? How did you handle it?
We stayed at our desk because we work in cubicles, so we're not by any windows or anything, but the police were still present so that we could see that we were safe by them.
Yes, guys, we're actually talking to a courthouse employee right now. She's just kind of telling us about the situation. So kind of how are you feeling right now after now being released after finding out there's an active shooter?
I'm feeling shaken and relieved at the same time.
Thank you very much,
All right,
ma'am.
we're gonna.
Okay, Bono, come over here. So, as you can see, that was just a woman who was inside building 10A, right near, well, not right near, but fairly close in relative perspective to building 2, close enough to hear the gunfire. And again, this woman was just told to go back, basically go back to her desk, sit at her cubicle, and wait it out, which you can only imagine how frightening that would be. And then she got word just after, I guess, 5 o'clock or so, that it was safe to leave the building. And here we are. She is in the street, obviously talking to 13 News Now. Fortunately, she's okay, but she's got no idea about, some of the fellow people who work here, the same complex as her. And I think that's how a lot of people are feeling tonight, wondering how many people that they may see every day in the parking lot or, in the elevators, how many people may have been injured today. Back to you, Philip and Janet.
Shaken and relieved, those are the words that she used as police told her, quote, all clear. She was told that by police, and you can see them out there. People are moving around, walking around. So it appears to be, police have the situation under control.
And she said she knew God was with us, and she's very thankful to the police who were able to get to them quickly to tell them what was going on and to tell them to stay away from the windows before giving them the all clear shortly after 5 o'clock. You can tell that she was shaken, and you can just imagine she was not in building 2, but a nearby building, and so you can imagine that all the employees in that area who were still at work at that hour are probably pretty shaken up right now by what happened. But the shooter has been taken into custody, and it appears that the lockdown, at least for the surrounding buildings, has been lifted at this point. We still don't know exactly about building 2, where the active
hospital. We don't know their situation as far as their condition right now. Following a lot on social media as well. Stephen told us you can follow hashtag 757alert, of course, 13 News Now as well, for any updates as they come in. We are also just hearing that a press conference is going to be happening. I believe it's from the police chief in Virginia Beach, anywhere from 6:15 to 6:30. So we're going to be looking out for that, of course, as we stay on air right now. But again, we are just following the situation. Hopefully, it appears it is under control for the most part. They have one person in custody, and that may be the only person at this time.
And we know that city council members are coming onto the scene. We saw some video there of Mayor Dyer not wanting to talk right now, as he is also trying to gather information about what happened. They're having an emergency meeting with city council members so that they can get up to speed and at least figure out how this may have all happened and exactly how many people are injured and just what the situation is at this point before they speak publicly to the media. The police, as well as some city officials, state officials, are asking people to stay away from the scene. Even though it has calmed down somewhat, it is still active out there. There's police tape that they have put up. They still have to investigate the scene, go inside, and try to figure out what happened and how this all started.
Yeah, we were hearing from the woman out there who was in building 10, which is relatively close to where this was happening in building 2. And she said she heard the gunshots. Police telling her, of course, all clear. That's why we were able to talk to her, because she came out. She didn't know what was going on at first. She was asking her coworkers what the heck is going on. But now she says she is shaken, but relieved at the situation.
All right, and about an hour ago, where Robert was standing a little further away from where he is now, we saw one ambulance after another just speeding by, as well as the mobile command center, police cars and fire trucks, which sort of gave an indication that there may be more than 2 victims. We're getting some information on that. We're getting some reports about some other victims, but we're working to confirm that. What we do have confirmed, that there are two people who have been shot, and that they are in 2 different hospitals in Virginia Beach. So we're continuing to monitor that situation as well, but we don't want to get ahead and give you some information that may not be accurate. That was our Allie Weatherton. You just saw her. She is near building 1, which is right next to building 2. She was the one who was able to talk to the husband of a woman who was inside building 2, who got an alert on her phone and was told to, hey, take cover. She got under her desk. She was waiting it out. She was on lockdown for quite a bit of time. We're glad to hear that employees were getting alerts and being able to take cover. And again, there have been so many active shooter drills that we've heard about here in this area as well as across the country. So we know that it's, unfortunately, it's top of mind, just given the times that we're in. You think about that now. Once upon a time, you never thought about that. And you think, this is Virginia. Years ago, you remember what happened at Virginia Tech. We were doing the noon show when that happened, when I believe it was 32 people at Virginia Tech in the active shooter situation there. Tim Kaine as the governor at the time, and he still talks about that very, very tragic day. So this is something that isn't new to Virginia. Dealing with it again appears to not be as severe, but again, one person is too many. This shooter has been taken into custody. We have no idea who he is or who she is, the age, where the person is from. We're still working to get that information in a few minutes, I guess within about a half hour or so. The police chief plans on addressing the media to talk about what happened, so we're definitely waiting to get an update from him.
Janet, we're told, Emily, family is being told to go to United Methodist Church. Where's on Princess Anne Road? Police are telling families, if you have any connection to the shooting, you're going to want to go to United Methodist Church on Princess Anne Road. Now, if you're just now tuning in, let's get you up to speed here on the timeline of events. I guess around 4 o'clock, this is when we got the reports of an active shooter at the Municipal Center you're looking at now. This was in Building 2. At that point, we were talking to Drew Langford. He's with Public Works. He was right outside. He wasn't inside the building. That is where he works. But he was pulling up in his car. He saw police officers coming out of the building with their guns up. He believes he saw at least one of the victims that appeared to be hurt outside of the building. And then that's when we started going to our live reports. Robert Boyd seeing the ambulances coming in and out of the Municipal Center. It was a very active scene for some time. As you can see now, for the most part, that scene has calmed down. You're still seeing a lot of yellow tape, though, of course, expected with this scene, because it's, I guess you could still call it active in a sense that they're going to be looking at the building and making sure they can, investigate.
Yeah, many hours of investigation to come. All right, Jacqueline Lee is at Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. Let's go live to her right now.
Well, Janet, I'd say about an hour ago, we saw Nightingale take off from the top of the emergency building here at Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. Now, where we are, this is a level 1 trauma center. Sentara Norfolk General Hospital is one of 5 trauma centers in the state. Now, what makes a level 1 trauma hospital it's the hospital's ability to provide total care to every aspect of a patient's injury. Now, to give the viewers back at home just some backstory on Nightingale, it's a fully functional critical care unit, and it allows patients to reach the closest, most appropriate hospital. So we do know that Nightingale is currently at the scene at the Virginia Beach Municipal Center. And so inside of Nightingale, they have an EKG, defibrillators, and an intra-aortic balloon pump. So obviously, if a patient needs a high level of care, they can get into Nightingale and then reach the most appropriate hospital. Given the situation and given how fluid it is, we would assume if a patient is in a very dire situation, they will get in Nightingale and come right here to Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. So I did talk with one police officer who said he was just on patrol here in Norfolk. He popped his head in Sentara just to see what exactly is going on. They said they couldn't tell him much, but he said that there is a trauma team on standby waiting in case a patient does come in here. So at this point in time, we're just on standby. We're waiting to see if Nightingale does come. And of course, when the helicopter comes back and lands, we will give you an update. Live in Norfolk, Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
All right, thank you, Jacqueline.
All right, and we know now that at least 4 people are hospitalized after this shooting. At least 4. There could possibly be even more injuries, more people injured, but right now confirming that 4 people affected by this, more than likely in Building 2, which was the Public Works and Public Utilities departments, where an active shooter went in between 3 and 4 o'clock this afternoon and started shooting. And we know that at least a co-worker of Drew Langford, who we talked to about an hour ago, shortly after this happened, he fortunately, who works in that building, but he just happened to be outside the building at the time and found out about the shooting when his daughter called him, who works in a nearby building. Now imagine that. She works in a nearby building and knows that her father works in Building 2. She calls him absolutely hysterical, wanting to make sure that he's okay. Well, he just happened to not be in the building at the time. He was okay, but then he found out about some people that obviously he knows, and people that a person that he works with who is one of the victims taken to one of the area hospitals. So we're hearing 4 people at this time.
Yeah, and again, Allie had confirmed that families, if you have any connection to the shooting, you're being asked to go to United Methodist Church. That's on Princess Anne Road. We also have another update from Adriana Dialba. She is at the Emergency Comm Center right now. Adriana, what can you tell us?
Hi, Philip. Well, right now there's a pretty heavy police presence, as you might know. They're getting ready to hold a news conference. We're told it should start between 6:15 to 6:30-ish. So right now we're just sitting tight. We expect to hear from Police Chief about the latest on what's happening, how many victims were involved, and we expect to hear more here shortly. But for now, we'll just be sitting tight, and we'll bring you that information as soon as that press conference starts. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Adriana there. She is at the, I guess, the setup there, the emergency comm center that they've set up. I'm assuming that's where the press conference is going to happen. You're looking live again at the scene there. This might not be live right now, but the police presence is still out there. You can see the fire trucks are moving out as well. Now, we talked to a woman. Robert Boyd was just talking to a woman who was in Building 10, which is close by, and she heard the gunshots. And they were also told, even though they were in Building 10, which is a little bit of ways away from Building 2, to get away from the windows and stay safe. So you can see the impact this has on just the entire area.
Robert, did you have an update?
No, I heard about the woman you just mentioned. Obviously, I was here. I was one of the reporters who interviewed her. First of all, we want to thank that woman. Her name, I wrote it down here, Sheila Cook. Thank you, Sheila, for sharing your story. I know that wasn't easy. She had a couple tears at the end of that because, again, even though she didn't know anybody in Building 2, she still works here. And again, you just don't know, if you might don't think you know them, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I saw that person in the parking lot, or I saw that person in an elevator, or I had lunch with that person. Because even though you might not necessarily work together, it is still a family community here at the Municipal Center. People are, running into each other in the parking lots and at functions all the time. And again, Building 2 being public works, a lot of those folks you see out and about every day, cleaning our streets, taking care of things on the beach. So these are, very vital people in our community, and to think that someone would go into that building while they're working and do this, it's just heartbreaking. And right now we are continuing to watch people leave work about an hour or two later than they expected today. But you look at those couple women across the street, they were walking away from the Municipal Center, so they're getting prepared to go home. And for a lot of these folks, again, they were kept in their offices. It didn't matter what building it was, kept in their offices for at least an hour while they were on lockdown, waiting for the police to tell them that everything is going to be safe. And again, once again, that woman we interviewed, Sheila Cook, she told us that she heard the shots fired, and she went back to her cubicle and basically just hunkered down in the cubicle. I spoke to another woman who said that they were just told, don't go near the windows, stay away from the windows. So you can imagine the panic. Anytime you're sitting in your office and you hear shots fired, then you're told don't go near the windows, you don't know where those bullets could be coming from. So we're just glad that those folks we spoke with are safe. And again, we'll be continuing to wait out here for the chief of police, who is expected to give a press conference at some point soon. Back to you, Philip and Janet.
Thank you, Robert. We just saw a tweet from new city council member Aaron Rouse.
Pray for our city is what he said. Just that simple. All right, Nicole Ives is in the newsroom, and she has some more information about where families are supposed to go.
That's right. We are working behind the scenes to get you the latest information on this, and can't even imagine what it feels like if you're trying to reach a family member or a loved one that is in Building 2 or one of those buildings there at the Municipal Center, and you're not hearing anything back. And we know that it was locked down, so it's possible that people did not have their phones close, or they're just, trying to take care of themselves and not be able to reach out. So the city wants families to go to Courthouse Community United Methodist Church. We built a map there so you can see it is very close to the Municipal Center, not too far away. The actual address is 2708 Princess Anne Road. It's near the golf course too, but again, it's Courthouse Community United Methodist Church. That's where the city is saying for loved ones, family members to go, and we know they're going to have that news conference coming up soon, but hopefully families who are concerned can get some type of information about what's going on there after this shooting incident at the Virginia Beach Municipal Center.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much. Courthouse Community United Methodist Church, 2708 Princess Anne Road is where she said, and that's for families. So obviously, you know, families had to rush out there to the scene wanting to know about their loved ones. That's where you go. Everyone else should really just avoid the area because it's still blocked off. Police tape surrounding the area. A lot will have to be done to investigate what happened, figure out, you know, why this may have happened in the first place. So that's why police really don't want people to go down to the area. You ought to be able to understand that.
Yeah, you know, these situations, Janet, you mentioned, they've been happening all across the country. Unfortunate that we're dealing with this right now here in Virginia Beach. You're looking again at the scene there. This is the Municipal Center. Building 2 is where the shooting happened. A shooter is in custody. We know of 4 confirmed victims.
Hospitalized at this point. We don't know their conditions, and we are hearing some reports that there may be more victims, but right now we have confirmed that 4 people are in the hospital, but we don't know how bad their injuries are. We know that the police tweeted some time ago that there were multiple injuries, and just judging by the number of rescue teams that we saw heading out there and rushing away, we're assuming that there are probably more injuries. Unfortunately, 4. We do know that at least 2 are in hospitals in Virginia Beach, one at Princess Anne Hospital, Centera, Princess Anne Hospital, and one at Centera, Virginia Beach General Hospital as well. And as far as we know, Nightingale is still on the scene waiting for clearance as well in case they need to take someone to the trauma center here in Norfolk at Centera Norfolk General Hospital in downtown Norfolk. So they're on standby just in case. It appears that the lockdown has been lifted and that employees are able to leave. This affected more people than just the people in Building 2. The active shooter was in Building 2 with Public Utilities and Public Works, but the complex has a number of buildings. The buildings are close together, so people in other buildings were actually told, get away from the windows, you know, take cover as well, because you never know just how widespread this could be. We also know that some alert system went out because at least one employee told her husband that she got an alert on her phone and that she was able to get under a desk. So the situation was so quick, happening sometime between 3 and 4 o'clock when the shooter came at the end of the workday on a Friday, and people thinking that, hey, I'm going to go home and have a pretty nice weekend, nice weather. And this happens. It's just unfortunate. Of course, you just never know. You just never know.
And it really shakes you, you know, because you can put yourselves in their situation. You see this across the country, and, you know, there's distance. But this is right here. This is in our backyard, you know. So it really hits home, and you really can feel the effects there. You saw the emotional interview that Robert Boyd was doing with that woman who said she was shocked. She was relieved that police gave the all clear, but still, you could just tell by her voice that she was rattled. You know?
She was shaken, and she wasn't actually in the building. So imagine the people who were actually there and could hear those gunshots firsthand and maybe even witness what happened. So you can just imagine the trauma associated with that. And what we have seen across the country and so many different communities is how people just sort of rally together and show so much support for each other. The vigils that you see across the country. And we already know that Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads is a very, very generous community. We already just know that from other experiences. So we know that the people down in Virginia Beach and in Building 2 will be getting so much support. But for now, police, they have a lot of investigation to do. So they're asking you to stay away from the area as they continue to gather information. We have plenty of people on the scene, as you've been watching. They're gathering information, and as soon as we learn, as soon as we get the updates, we're passing it on to you.
And speaking of updates, you know, this is just goes to show police officers and police systems across the country are getting used to this. And there was an emergency plan in place. It's sad to say, but you know, we talked to a woman, or Allie talked to the husband of a woman who received that emergency